Hello. Good morning. Just recovered from my latest cold plunge. Still feel a little chill in the body, but it's a good thing. It's not scary. It's just juicy. So I've learned some things in some really harsh self-exploration lately of 3D love has been twisted to pervert us and trap us in connection with another and feeling unworthiness, that we're not worthy of having another in our life or having the divine partner that we so choose. I have been pushed to recognize past relationships that keep showing up and the people in them keep showing up, and realize that I've, because I didn't think I was worthy of much more than codependent relationships that I formed many times in my past, I accepted them, I settled for them, and then unconsciously made it a contract, just because I was feeling so shitty and angry and this kind of stuff, that maybe this is all I'm worthy of, which bound me to other people that felt the same way and were in the same loss, worry, anger, frustration game. So I spoke with one of the people that was in my life from that time, and we made an agreement to unbind ourselves and stop our codependence, the mangled games that we play when we're codependent and we're thinking that that's the only person for us, and then you're hanging on for dear life after you found them and smashed them. And when a person's really in lack, I compared my relationship with a recent girlfriend to the abuser. Somebody that didn't feel worthy themselves, were hurting, were angry, were frustrated, basically projected that on me. Luckily, I was never in that state, but maybe I abused in other ways. She felt that I was always forcing her to please me. But when somebody's hurting you by hurting themselves and constantly like pushing you away and doing things that push you away to self-validate that they're not worthy enough, and that everybody leaves them, which becomes a disgusting game, then they become an abuser. They yell, they scream, they get angry, they do whatever possible. When they get afraid, they start to become that little child inside, male or female. And it's not specific to any one gender. But we saw it and made agreement to let it go. She was like, in masculine relationships, women couple with men that hit them or abuse them or whatever. Well, that man doesn't love himself. And when a woman doesn't love herself, she becomes codependent. She becomes narcissistic. She becomes somebody that's constantly telling you you're not good enough and you're not worthy and all this kind of stuff, so that when they're ready to basically screw themselves over and make you leave or whatever, there's a reason for it. It becomes a pattern that we go into, and this is all we're worthy of, is all this pain and suffering and disgustingness. And it becomes a pattern. It becomes the very thing that propagates our story, our self-sabotage, our whatever. That's what 3D love is all about. You've been harmed by your parents since birth. Your mom maybe didn't love you, and in my case, I didn't breastfeed my mother because she was traumatized as a child. She didn't know any better, so I learned a program, a pattern that was part of, let's call it my lineage trauma, my pattern, my past. And guess what? All I was worthy of from that point in my life, because at a baby, I thought that's all I was worthy of, the best version of mother, of feminine, was this broken version that I got to choose to be my mother. And she chose that for herself, and it's a pattern. I feel my whole family is light workers. We went in and took some of the hardest paths and tried to learn from that, to grow from that, and sometimes we failed. But we're all born with the medicine. We're all born with the ability to heal it. We're all born wanting that, and then if we can't do it as parents, our children take it on, and eventually somebody breaks the pattern. And I think I've broken the pattern because I'm seeing stuff that was hidden in my shadow, in other people's shadow, in the way love was considered, and I no longer settle for that old, perverted, ugly version of love. Codependency, intermingling, hooks in each other, abusing and making them feel that that's all they're worth because that's all they feel they're worth. It's a fucking game of the illusion. So I speak of it not to be messy, dirty, and to call people out or whatever. It's to say that this is true and this is happening and it's ugly and we need to clean it up personally inside of ourselves, because it's a propagation. We only couple with the people that have the same wound and that are seeing the world in the same way. I couldn't have a person that was deeply self-loving because I'm not, or I wasn't when I started all this, deeply self-loving. But now I'm saying I am self-loving and I'm not going to allow this into my life, and then setting boundaries and setting distance and saying no more. Not because that other person's bad or wrong or they should do better and all this kind of stuff. It's because that's all I was worthy of at the time. That's all they're worthy of at the time. And they only know the pattern until they become self-aware. And then hopefully they're connected and partnered with somebody that can reflect on their lack of self-awareness and their lack of self-confidence and self-love. And then you become the mirror, the person that gently nudges them out of codependence, of fucking themselves, of messing everything up. And I've been doing it for a long, long time. But I couldn't see it, and I don't know what's changed, but I can see it now. And ex-partner was showing up, and she just kept showing up, and she'd never go away, even though I'd set a boundary, and then she'd chisel her way in, and all this kind of stuff, because she's begging for me to help save her, because my self-awareness is mine, and hers is hers, and we're in a game. And what an adventure this experience is. It makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel awful. I chose it. I understand it now, and I'm starting to reflect for it. And whether my partners or exes and all this kind of stuff want to do that for themselves is completely up to them, but their choice. That's simple. So, what a crazy time. I love you. I thank you. And I hope this makes sense because it's true for me. Have a good day. See you soon.